everyone. Welcome to Dr. Gail GoodReads. I'm Dr. Gail Dawson. Today's book is called The History of the World in Six Glasses by Tom Standage, who is currently an editor of The Economist magazine. This book was published in 2005. He's had several publications since then, but this was one of his earlier defining works that explains the connection between human evolution and why we drink what we do. I felt that the beach is an appropriate setting for a discussion about human evolution. We are very strongly connected to the ocean. In fact, 66% of our body weight is salt water, and it's this substance that circulates through our bodies, delivering life-sustaining nutrients and oxygen. It literally lives within us. I asked AI-assisted Google if there are any waterless creatures in the world, and the answer was technically no. We are all dependent on water for life, and water is the basis for the drinks that we choose. So as the title suggests, this is a book about history, but it's so engaging and interesting that it feels more like a good storybook rather than a history lesson about human evolution. The writing is crisp and clear, and I immediately ate it up. Well, I drank it up. It was an immersive experience into the cultures of the past, and it gave me a pretty good understanding of how people survived and developed in early communities, and how we ultimately became one of the most successful species on the planet. Mr. Standage explains that some historians split history into eras based on the type of materials that people used to make tools, such as the Bronze Age, which was about 3000 BCE, and that was followed by the Iron Age, which was about 1200 BCE. His approach, however, is unique but refreshing. He writes about the prominent beverage that people drank during a particular time in history and how it influenced our emerging culture. In essence, he created a new timeline of human evolution. The most significant era in our evolution took place many years after our migration out of Africa, with the discovery of fertile lands known as the Fertile Crescent, which is located around present-day Iraq. These lush lands had fields of wild grain that would support domestic animals and would also provide adequate nutrition for the people. Early humans were able to settle into a residence, develop agriculture, and form communities. This was a totally new way of life from their ancestors who had to hunt and scavenge for food. Those people were nomadic, always moving, but these people could reside. The advantages of being able to stay in one location allowed for a major shift in lifestyle. We lived in larger communities and shared responsibilities. We ate and drank what was locally available. We were able to store food and prepare ahead. This is when beer hit the scene. This life-changing beverage was discovered around 10,000 BCE. It was fermented from grain that people harvested and was actually safer than water, because the water often carried diseases. No special tools or containers were needed. It could be produced in a hollowed tree or in the stomach pouch of an animal. When it fermented, it often had chaff floating on the surface, so it's presumed that many people drank from a common container using reed straws, drawing out of the bottom of the vat. This practical approach to sharing a beverage was also a way to develop trust among a group, since everyone is consuming the same liquid. The author speculates that when we clink glasses during a toast, we are recognizing this ritual of our ancestors. Touching glasses is a way to symbolically drink from the same source, and it's a tradition that has been woven into our culture that started about 10,000 years ago. Because beer was a cherished beverage and relatively simple to produce, it became a way to pay people in the earliest economies. One of my favorite discussions in the book is the advent of the earliest coinage, which was an imprint on a piece of clay that signified a certain amount of what was earned. Beer was also a central part of celebrations and worship. It was considered a gift from the gods. Here's another tradition that's been carried forward over thousands of years. When we raise our glass in a ceremonial salute, it's in appreciation to the gods that provided our early ancestors with this magical beverage. The chapters that follow explain how other beverages were developed as our culture became more sophisticated. For instance, wine became prevalent when people figured out how to make pottery, because wine needed a special vessel for aging and storage. It was a favorite drink among the ancient Greeks, especially during philosophical discussions. The next era was defined by overseas exploration and trading around 1000 CE. The technique of distillation allowed for the manufacture of spirits like rum and whiskey that were particularly suitable for long overseas journeys due to their intensity and their long shelf life. These initial beverages all contained alcohol. As people became more sophisticated in the sciences, they turned to caffeinated beverages that sharpen the senses, like coffee, tea, and ultimately Coca-Cola. As these new drinks emerged in sequence, none of the others were abandoned, there were just more choices. The newer drinks reflected the evolution of human innovation and choice, but they also contributed to the emerging worldwide economy. All of these beverages are still popular, and we can enjoy any of them depending on what we're doing. Perhaps that's why this book has such an extraordinary appeal. As I read the author's explanation of the different eras in our history, I felt a strong connection with the cultures he describes. I felt like I had lived through them all, from the ancient beer-drinking Mesopotamians to our current society as we enjoy a Coke Zero. Actually, in reality, we have lived through them. They are part of us. This isn't just history, it's our story. This book changed the way I think about what we drink and why. I totally embraced it, and I hope you do too. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time. If you like this video, please click on the thumbs up button, and remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Dr. Gail GoodReads.